Hey everybody, welcome to Shifty's Club. Today, I'm going to be talking about the standard and expanded format and some adjustments it's been making in the last few years. Um, Obviously, we know that there are plenty of adjustments that the metagame makes based on different decks that have been seen or different strategies or even just minor techs. I mean, since Karen got released, you have not seen Night March at all. And then with things like Vileplume Toolbox, enters a deck like Mega Scizor because you have Rainbow and double colorless. But these different decks, they keep arising because the metagame requires them to, and or to do so. And to do so, we make those necessary adjustments when we find them needful. Of course, in expanded, Rainbow Road's gotten a lot more popular for some odd reason. I don't even know why people bother trying to fit like some Galvantula, some like Dole type Pokemon in a deck. Excuse me. Ooh, it does not. I don't see how Rainbow Road can be as effective or win these regional championships or expanded tournaments. Period. I really don't see this being a key factor. But as far as your best decks go, at the moment, and this is November the 4th, 2016, at the moment, the best decks with which I can think of which I can think, for standard right now are modified and limited is what it's technically called. Um, for us would be Vileplume Toolbox, of course, hands down, probably. But let me tell you guys a good story about that. And a lot of you don't like hearing stories, but I was running an Eevee lock. It was Jolteon Glaceon. I seen the water toolbox and I basically took out a bunch of cards and threw in Jolteon, Lightning Energy, um, some nice support to go along with that. And I promise you guys that that deck was amazing. I was using it up until Pokemon Ranger came out a few weeks ago, or I think it was a few weeks ago. Yeah, when it came out a few weeks ago here. Um, August, September. Okay, never mind. It's November. I'm thinking crazy. That was Karen that just came out a few weeks. Um, but anyway, um, we noticed that these two attackers are absolutely amazing. But I think what made players turn towards this deck was the release of the Mew EX back into our modified limited format. Of course, Mew EX being able to use the attack of any Pokemon in play is pretty cool with it. Versatile attack. Still need the energy requirements, of course. But being able to use Rainbow Energy, double colorless energy, you can throw down Jolteon and Glaceon on the bench as well as a Regice. You can throw Lugia EX. You can put just a promo Jirachi if you wanted. Um, there's several different ways with which you could go with this deck. Um, I'm not a huge fan of too many techs. The deck seems to be working pretty well for me when it comes to um, just like two of your attackers and one of your support staples. That seems to work the best for me, and have like 4 trainers mo, 4 ultra ball, 2 level ball. That seems to work best for me. So I'm sticking with it. Um, of course, we have other decks too that do see competitive play. Like I said, Mega Scizor is ran with Garbodor. And basically, there are a lot of Garbodor decks popping up here just to shut off Vileplume's ability. Now there are other uses for it. like say Giratina EX, presents a huge problem um, against things like Mega Scizor, and being able to shut off all these abilities gives it room with which to work, and I really like that. Of course, it's a great deck, but it almost always auto losses to Volcanion EX, so and it's still a very popular deck. Um, Bringing me around to Volcanion. Volcanion generally ran probably four regular Volcanion, three EX, two Shaman EX. Probably that's probably a very basic skeleton that people adjust. Um, and then probably at minimum 12 fire energy, and then whatever they want to do from there. Of course, probably a bunch of Max Leechers, Trainers, Ultra Ball, VS Seekers. Um, Basically, you guys know what all goes into a deck, hopefully. um, but at the moment, it's a great deck. We're just waiting for Greninja to shift from shift between playing in both standard and expanded to playing just expanded. That's what that's on what we're waiting. But we'll go ahead and talk about Greninja. Ooh, excuse me. Um, Greninja obviously runs off of Frogadier and its frog duplicates, being able to throw out quad Frogadier on like turn one, possibly if you go second, or turn two. Because some people don't even use the Wally version, which I really like because it gets set up very fast. Um, some people prefer to shift towards all Talonflame and then just try to get things done with it, even though I really like the being able to use frog duplicates, um, even if it's on turn two. Being able to set up all those Pokemon is nice. It really is, guys. And I'd probably say that it's shifting to expanded because it requires things like Battle Compressor to take away the excess Talonflame, so you're not drawing into them later in the game when you need those critical key cards that, like that one Splash Energy. That since you already used one, you have the one Splash Energy, or you need that one Karen because you somehow, some way came across a Night March deck, and expanded, of course. Obviously, I don't see the standard version doing well, but Volcanion could certainly stride pretty easily in that in the standard format. But that takes me to the expanded format because I'm really not going to talk about any other decks. I mean, we all know Darkrai Giratina is good. I'm not going to sit here and talk about how everybody knows that Max Elixirs with Darkness Energy, Double Dragon. We know it's good. We understand it's good. Um, but anyway, let's go to Expanded. Let's talk about my favorite deck in Expanded Dark. Um, Obviously, we've got um, the Tech Darkrai and Ability Darkrai. Um, there's the regular Eviltal, the Eviltal EX, and some people like the breakthrough Eviltal, the Fright Night one. Um, I'm on the fence with this one. It basically depends on if the format calls for it. If there are enough decks that rely consistently on Pokemon tool cards, then yeah, I totally would throw it in. But at the moment, I really don't see a lot of them that do because a lot of your Mega Evolution decks are starting to just slide away because they understand that Expanded Dark is throwing in Giratina techs just to shoot fire against these a lot of these other decks, and it becomes much of a hassle for these decks to get consistent wins. So there goes your Spirit Links, except maybe Mega Manectric, because even if you can't damage the defending Pokemon, you could still get energy onto the bench. And even then, you still get things like Garbodor, of course. We'll have to wait and see what all happens in those scenarios. Um, but anyway, just being able to abuse Dark Patch, Max Elixirs, just throwing around things left and right, Laser Bank to inflict even more damage. It becomes very hard to keep up with the pressure, and I think that's why the deck is my favorite. Um, of course, we've got things like Trevenant. Trevenant's not leaving anytime soon. Um, it will still be here based on the fact that it had a Phantom that can legitimately evolve itself on turn one if you go second, which I think is cool. And most people say, yeah, you're supposed to run one or two. I don't run a Wobbuffet. Not at all. I'm not going to. Not unless I'm sure that I'm going to be going second a lot. And generally, that's not a problem. Um, but of course, it does keep the opponent from doing shaman setups a lot, and that's sort of a good thing. Um, I'd probably say the the deck that I think will do the best without me there would probably so that's a tough one because I th- so I'm having to think about it a lot because there are a lot of different formats, and then when you think of things like Philadelphia, you try to figure, okay, so you basically have a set group of players. Of course, they're going to be people who are going from across the world, so it's crazy enough. But when we think about who is who's going where and what the different decks are they're playing, I would probably expect to see nah. Well, since Rainbow Road's rising in popularity, I'd probably expect to see more Mega Manectric Garbodors. I think that I would probably see something like that. Um, I'm a huge fan of being able to understand the different types of meta and being able to counter it. Of course, there's a lot of people who just basically get the key cards they need, and then whatever the best decks are, they just build something to counter them. Of course, I understand the strategy; it works very well. But then you have other players who are going to run what they've been running for a long time, like Frank Diaz runs anything but dark. You let me know. um, that's the truth. That's the honest truth, guys. There are guys who even run Virizion Genesect just because that's what they've been running for so long. They will continue to run it because they believe that they have mastered that deck, and they probably have. Um, but there's a lot of players who have mastered Dark, and that's the main reason why you still see them running Dark and Expanded. Um, so if I had to pick a deck to win the expanded tournament coming up, and I think it's Philly, I'd probably pick Expanded Dark. I really like the deck. I know it has solid matchups across the board. Um, any matchups that it doesn't have too much favor, it can always tech for those matchups. Given how much acceleration it has, it's a real uh, ramp type deck, and just like Magic, we all know how well producing mana does for our deck, as well as attaching energy to the right Pokemon. They both help in their respective games. Now, I'd probably say that if Rainbow Road really does gain popularity, you'll see a rise in these different Garbodor decks, especially the Mega Manectric. Um, the reason I say that is because at that point, you're expecting them to get a lot of energy removal, and you've got to have good ways of getting all that back. Because there are Rainbow Road decks that are going to be running energy removal, and this is going to completely kill you. Of course, There are different Pokemon that you could use other than Mega Manectric. Um, Volcanion could just completely, like, legitimately single-handedly shut down pretty much anything that Rainbow Road throws at it. But the problem there is being able to withstand the energy removals, because once Volcanion hits that active spot, you better have a legitimate way of getting it out. um, so yeah, guys. But I think that's it. That's really all I've got for today. Um, because we don't have an unlimited format, but if we do, I'll go ahead and post stuff on that. Of course, we all know what decks I like. I like those one turn I win decks. um, but anyway, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Post any comments you have in the comment section down below. And as always, I hope you guys had as much fun as I had, and I'll see you guys next time at Shifty's Club.